Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, this is Sheikh Khalid Yassin, and I'm talking to you from my Facebook Live platform titled Sky Views. As you know, Sky Views are my views, and I try to bring topics that I believe are relevant, interesting, and necessary for us to discuss. And usually I bring topics which I believe that are not necessarily popular. That means it's not something that you will commonly hear a discussion on if you were to visit a masjid, whether the khutbatul Jum'ah or in discussions between people inside of the masjid and other traditional places where Muslims gather. I tried to bring topics which they come up when people are in coffee houses, people are in their workplaces, people are in the universities, people are in government, people are in business, in the marketplace. There are just so many issues that are relevant to Islam, and so many issues that are important and relevant to the quality of life that human beings are seeking, that we should have hundreds of conversations like this on a regular basis. Unfortunately, most of the Muslim world represented by their traditional leadership are generally preoccupied with quote-unquote religious issues. Issues that have to do with the rituals of Islam, the ideological factors regarding Islam, the historical issues of the Muslims. Many conversations lead down this pattern, this path, and when we make references, the references are usually given like from a book that somebody read. If it's not the Quran, if it's not the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then it's books of scholars who wrote, major scholars who wrote, who had their own thinking, their own processes, and they established a precedent for the Muslim world. And then those students who followed those great scholars, and it goes on and on to the groups or the movements that manifested themselves in the 20th century and the 21st century. So here we are. As a revert Muslim, an African-American Muslim, a senior social activist in the country where I live, a very dynamic, powerful country that is in the center, the eye of the world storm, so to speak. That's the United States of America. I believe that we Muslims who are in the United States of America and Europe and Australia and Canada, that we have a mandate from God with the resources that we have, with the belief that we have, to establish an Islamic precedent in the Western world. I want to repeat that. We have a mandate to establish the principles of Islam in the society where we live at as a 21st century phenomena, that we are introducing Islam as a set of principles within the society where we are, to set a social precedent where we are saying, where we are declaring that we Muslims living in the West or in the Western-based countries, whether it be those who consider themselves to be in the diaspora because they are immigrants from a Muslim country, or those of us that are indigenous and revert Muslims, we have a responsibility, a mandate from God, a divine mandate to establish the principles of Islam within the context of the social factors where we live, and not rely upon the nostalgia of the past or the phenomena of development of splintered Muslim movements in different places in the world, who relocate out of necessity to Western-based countries. We're not under any obligation as Muslims living in the West to adopt somebody else's social platform for Islam. Absolutely not. We're not under any such obligation to use the platform or the template that was established by another group of Muslims in a country some time ago outside of the Western world. We're not forced, we're not obligated in any way to use that as a template for establishing an Islamic movement, Islamic consciousness, Islamic base of civilizational resources in the country where we are. We don't have to use those other models. No, we should look at them, the good of what they've done, and extract from that. We should look at them, the mistakes that they made, and avoid that. And then we should look at ourselves in the 21st century and determine what is the best way forward. What is the best way forward? Now here, best way forward has nothing to do with quoting Quran or quoting Hadith or talking about tafsir or Aqidah or, or other, or even for that matter, having to substantiate whatever we have to say through the Arabic language. No, we don't. Now, there are those who can differ, and I don't care if they differ. We all have a right to differ. And I thank God that I'm in the United States of America, where there are many differences, but no one in the United States of America is fighting, clashing because of religion. And we don't have a situation with whatever disagreeable, unfavorable social factors that we experience here in the West. The governments in the West, they are not intrusive against Islamic movement. They're not intrusive against Islamic movement. They may not share our sentiment, but they're not intrusive. They have not condemned Islam. We're not facing a tsunami, of government institutions and police and armies and other kind of organizations which are suppressing the voice of some of the Muslims in that society. We are not experiencing that. In fact, to the contrary, we have a constitutional environment that allows us to speak in any way that we want to speak, as long as we are not we're not undermining, we're not being coercive, we're not being subversive, we're not committing any kinds of crimes against the society or its institutions or against its people. We are discussing, we are proposing Islam as a better way. And there are others in our society who are proposing something else as a better way. And everyone has that right to express what they think is a better way. And alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we Muslims in the United States of America, we have the right. And we have more right than in most countries in the world to say that Islam as a system is a better way. Now we need to discuss the way forward. And I won't do that in this particular talk. I'm just giving this talk right now to set it up for a series of discussions that I would like to title as The Way Forward. Islam in the 21st century, and in particular from the Western world, the way forward. We need to have that discussion. And when we have this discussion, we don't need to. We are not obligated to make references of other social, religious, political, movements that are in other places in the Muslim world have manifested itself in the Muslim world, whether they are pro or con. We're not obligated to make reference to that. It would be prudent upon us to look at what has happened, look at what is happening, and take the best from each one and avoid the mistakes of each, and create a novel, a new, novel, relevant, powerful, progressive, social template. That's what I want to call it. A progressive social template which has as its intent to implant and to establish and to manifest and to propose to the people of the West that Islam is a better social system. We didn't say a social system that needs to be against the prevailing social system. No. When we go to the hospital and we go to see the doctors are not against disease. No, they're there to bring you back to the best health that they're able to respond to disease or to injury or to suffering or to pain. They are there to do that. They're not a subversive group. And we Muslims, we should feel the same obligation, that we are here to heal, if we can, the ills of society. We are here to fill the potholes on the social road and paths that cause people to injure themselves or to deplete their energy or their dignity. We are here to propose something that will make life better, improve the quality of life for everyone. That's our job moving forward. So, dear brothers and sisters, I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to say to you that we're going to start a series of discussions on the way forward in the 21st century to present to the world with the best resources that we have and be able to say that Islam is the better way. Thank you very much. I want to remind everyone here that we have a special platform that you can access right now. It's called Patreon. 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 And Patreon is a very unique platform in the sense that it does something that YouTube doesn't do. It does something that Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, they don't do. That is, through Patreon, you can, as a content creator, I am the Purpose of Life Foundation. We are content creators. We create content for you. Now with Patreon, we can establish a joint venture. That's what I like to call it, a joint venture. When you do things together that benefit both parties, it's called a joint venture. We're headed down the same road to do good, to cause benefit, to advance, to progress, to invest something good for the society that we live in. And we are doing that by providing you with new, vibrant, relevant, powerful content. That's our commitment. So you can do that on Patreon. You can go to Patreon right now. Patreon.com/Skyviews with a Z.com. That is Patreon.com/Skyviews with a Z.com. Go there now. And when you go to Patreon and you become a patron, that is, you become a supporter of the Purpose of Life Foundation. You become a supporter of my ministry. You become a supporter of what you consider to be the good that we are investing, and you are joining us in that khair. You're joining us in that khair. So what we will do is, we will share with you from time to time my research, the conclusions, how I came up with my conclusions. What's the basis of my ideas or my advice, my perspective? I can share my notes with you, whether it's in PowerPoint, whether it's in PDF, whether it's in a Word document, whether it's a video, we can share that content with you. We can't do that on the other platforms. The other thing that we can do is that the Purpose of Life Foundation has, we have, over the past 30 years, we have over 150 lectures. 150 of my lectures. And we have the Sheikh Khalid Yasin signature series. Over 150 lectures. We can share those with you. We can make those available for you. They're all clean, they've all been digitized, and they're available for you. Also, we will be bringing new content to you regularly. Content that you will not find anywhere else. And content that we promise to be relevant. Islam in the 21st century. My book, Islam, America, and the World, which each one of you will get a copy of. You'll get a PDF copy of that, each one of you, by becoming a patron today. I say that it's a very good relationship. I say it's a reciprocal relationship. It's one that has benefit for all of us. So, brothers and sisters, go to your computer right now and put in Patreon/skyviews.com and join us on Patreon as a supporter. Thank you very much. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi